Good morning, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us today on this webinar, The Path to Smart Salesforce Architecture. We will be starting in just a couple of minutes as more people are still trying to join. All right, once again, hello, everyone. We will be starting in just about another minute. We still have a couple of people trying to join here, so we'll give them a chance and then we will get rolling. All right, I think it's time to get started here. Welcome, everyone. This is the Panaya webinar, The Path to Smart Salesforce Architecture. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you find this information interesting and valuable, and that you take something away that you can use at your own company. First, a little bit of housekeeping. I couldn't think of the word there for one second. All of your lines are going to be muted, so just the speakers will be able to speak. If you have questions, please use the question and answer box within Zoom to put those in, and we will try to get to all of your questions. If we don't answer all the questions live on the webinar, we will send out a recap with the questions and responses when we share this webinar after the fact. And then, of course, this session is being recorded, and that will be shared with you as well once the session is over. All right, so today our speakers, Alex, why don't you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, absolutely. Very nice to see you all today for our webinar. My name is Alex Lidin, and I am working at Panaya Foresight as a product manager. In my experience, I was responsible for implementation of some interesting projects for the global enterprises being in Salesforce ecosystem for around 8 years already. We love a lot the Salesforce ecosystem, try to work on my certifications, and again, very happy to see you all here today that we'll try to see some nice stuff about how you can plan in the correct manner of any changes in your Salesforce org, documenting and tracking everything.
Fantastic. Thanks, Alex. And hi, everybody. I'm Eric Dreschfield. I am an independent Salesforce consultant. I've been working in this ecosystem since 2009. I've seen a lot of different industries and a lot of different roles throughout my time here. And I am hosting the webinar along with Alex today. So let's move forward. Today's agenda, we are going to talk through what Salesforce well architected means and what that involves. And then we will go through an architecture challenge. We'll kind of discuss a hypothetical situation that we've called Elliot's story. And from there, we'll move forward into tips for success that Alex just alluded to, the need to plan, document, and optimize your Salesforce. And then we will also discuss some additional tools that you can utilize to help achieve the success that you're trying to reach. So Salesforce well architected. This is the framework that Salesforce has built. They've talked about it quite a bit, uh, probably for the last 6 to 9 months or so. And what it really is the ability or the thought process to make sure that your Salesforce org is built in a trusted way, in a way that's easy to use, and in a way that's adaptable and has the ability to expand and scale as your business grows. So let's take a little bit of a dive into what each of these three things means. Trusted, essentially, secure, meaning obviously controlling access to who has the ability to get into your org, who can access certain pieces of your data and do certain things with them. Compliant, what that really means is that you're following legal and ethical guidelines. Things like that include where the data is being stored. For example, GDPR is certainly a big issue, and that is part of what this is referring to. Um, and then reliable, obviously you want your systems to be up and running all the time, operating efficiently, and to be dependable. So the easy perspective of what Salesforce well architected is talking about is building solutions that are simple. So they follow the most direct path in the way they are constructed, in the way they're engineered, automated, obviously taking advantage of automation where you can, and making it so that your business can drive its goals faster and meet its objectives, and do that at scale as your business grows. And then engaging, obviously you want the solution to be built in a way that your users are going to be able to follow, to be able to understand it properly. And you're going to want to drive adoption to make sure your users are actually utilizing the tools that you're building. And then adaptable talks about the ability for your Salesforce org and the tools you've built to change over time, to be resilient, and to be able to grow with your business as your business grows, and of course maintaining stability throughout that whole process. Composable is really just that second piece where they adjust quickly to change and maintain the stability of your organization and the ability for your business to do what it needs to do and start satisfy your own customers. So let's talk about Elliot for a minute. Elliot is a new CRM manager at a big organization. He was brought in to help them optimize a Salesforce org that's around 5 years old. And he's got a pretty good team of people working for him. You can see the description. There's 6 admins, a couple of developers, and an architect. The problem is Alex has this really long backlog of change requests from his users. He's in the middle of trying to merge 2 organizations into one after the acquisition of another company. And all the while, he wants to be able to improve the org's overall performance and simplify its structure. And by doing so, he's hopefully going to optimize the processes that are currently in place and being utilized and clean up technical debt along the way. And he's excited to get started. Sounds like it could be someone in this audience, right? You might be facing a lot of those same challenges. So specifically, what are some of those challenges that are out there? If you look at the post-it notes on the wall here at Elliot's desk, you can see a lot of different varieties of things that he's trying to face. Too many pick list values, for example, and busy page layouts can certainly cause your users to have a little difficulty trying to figure out what they're trying to do and the best way to do it. Multiple process builder and workflows. We all know that Salesforce is deprecating that. So the need to be able to migrate that to Flow is a big deal, and that needs to get started as soon as possible. Dynamic page layouts, which fields are not being utilized at what points in time. You have to understand how that process works and where that is. And then the big one at the very front of the challenge list here no clear method for managing requests from businesses, and the feeling that everything is urgent. That seems to happen probably more often than most of us like, where the priority list is not horizontal or not vertical, it's horizontal. Everything is top priority. And that makes it really challenging to understand what to do and when to do it and how to get things accomplished to make sense. So what's the solution to all of this? Yeah, oversimplifying perhaps just to call it these 4 steps. But if you plan out what you need to do in a simple manner, and then you document the solutions that you're building along with the plans that you've got and how they match together while you're doing that and building your solutions, obviously keeping an eye out for optimization and making sure that you're taking the smartest path. And then cycle back through and repeat all of this over and over again. Basically iterate the process until you've got it exactly where you need it, or until something else changes and your organization is ready to grow again. And then certainly go back through the same steps until you make sure that you're where you need to go. So what exactly is planning? Yeah, most of us probably plan our day. We have a calendar that we follow. So we know when we have meetings, we have projects that we're working on, we understand the deadlines of all those things. And what that really is we've established an approach, a structure that helps us understand the changes that we need to do. Applying that to your business and to your Salesforce org, obviously that means you're going to be managing and planning changes in your org that are going to be built specifically to your own organization's needs to meet the goals of your sales team, your marketing team, the corporate as a whole. Everything that impacts the bottom line of your organization are pieces of what you need to put into this planning process so that everything gets properly considered and can be taken care of in the most efficient manner. So we have a question for you. So let's launch that first poll question. The migration to Flow is obviously a big project and it needs to take place anytime now as we're moving forward towards the deadline for that. So how do you go about approaching your own Flow? Take a peek on the screen there. You see the choices. You pick the one that makes the most sense for what you're doing and where you are right now. And we'll give all the participants here just a few minutes, just a minute or so. For that. Let's see, do we have results to share? All right, we'll give you all just a second longer. Alex, do you have a hunch as to where you think this one's going to come in big?
My favorite is the scream. Okay. See who screams, because this is what actually happens in the orgs that I was working on, right?
Yep. Who's going to say something when things don't work the way they used to?
Yeah.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Most of the people here have said their plan to approach this is to document the processes and then proceed forward to optimize from there. Not too many people screaming. I guess that's good. That means people are
Absolutely.
thinking about this already and they're ready to move forward.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. So what are some of the tips for success in this planning phase? Change management is a big deal. You need to properly outline the steps and the roles and responsibilities for everyone involved in this planning process and the implementation process as well. And even beyond that, you need to keep track of who's going to be monitoring changes in Salesforce and build out a specific and very detailed change management process to handle all that. Change requests is certainly something that you want to have a really clear-cut process for. You don't want those to come to you by email, by Slack, by text message. You want one specific place where all of your change requests can come in so you can properly track them, properly control them, and certainly respond to them appropriately to keep your stakeholders happy. Evaluating the impact and the feasibility. That's a big deal as well. Not all requests are going to be simple. Not all requests are going to make sense in the longer term scheme of what you're trying to do with your organization. and you need to have the ability to figure out which ones are really important and need to be done right now and can be done in addition to that. So that's super important. And then, of course, as I just alluded to, all of that revolves around the ability to plan timelines, to prioritize and make the decisions that are best for your organization as to which of these need to be done today, which ones should be done tomorrow, which ones are nice to have and could be done in a few months. What else should you be doing while you're planning this? Obviously, the sandbox is where you want to do all your testing. Testing in production is certainly not the smart way of approaching things. So make sure you're utilizing your sandboxes appropriately and testing and validating all your changes there before they get deployed to production. And then, of course, once you have the changes implemented into production, keep monitoring them, keep gathering information and feedback from your users to make sure that what you've deployed actually satisfies their needs and is accomplishing the goals that were set out. Documentation. Alex, you want to take over from here? Did we lose Alex?
Yeah, let me quickly share my screen. One quick second, okay? Okay, so in my experience, guys, anytime I was responsible for managing or maintaining Salesforce org, there was no single case that I received the clear and concise documentation. And from my point of view, is very important because actually the documenting all the processes is very valuable, especially in terms, of sending to your future self and to the admins who are coming to the org after you are leaving, and to your future team kind of time capsule that will assist them in order to do a lot of very important tasks. Because if you have the good detailed documentation on any of the processes, you are actually you are capable to reuse in the smart manner the processes that already exist in your org. For example, you can include in your flow the new request, or you can modify your formula fields or validation rules or your lightning page component, whatever it needs in order not to invent the wheel from the beginning. The additional thing, what is amazing about the good detailed documentation, is that you actually onboard the new admins, so your super users. So you save a lot of time for that. And of course, when you have the detailed documentation of all the components, you can analyze it and understand what components are obsolete, what things you need to do to map in order, to migrate to the new technologies. Like we all know how important it is to move from the Visualforce components to their to Lightning Web components. So what needs to be done in order to understand what kind of components are obsolete for the flow migration. So you need to get rid of the workflows and process builders right now, but you will not use probably the Salesforce conversion tool that will take one workflow and create one flow, right? Because this is not the optimized the correct way. So you need to map, as you correctly answered to the poll, all the relevant processes. So we'll understand that documentation is very important. And now let me ask you the question, how do you document your changes? And let me provide some answers here for this poll. So you should see right now the questions for the documentation challenges in your org. I hope that nobody will take the third option, right? But if you do, I think after today's webinar, you will be able to know how you can document any changes, as my admin friend said, without a lot of investment, and try to do it in the most automatic way as we all like in the Salesforce ecosystem. So now I hope that everybody already answered. And as I see here that most of the people, I actually use Jira and Confluence tools, which is quite good answer. It's amazing answer, because it actually means that people understand the importance of documentation. A lot of us still use manual spreadsheet and stuff. And for all those who, I understand that everybody understands the importance of documentations, but for those who do it manually, let me show you today together what can be done and how the tools on the market can help you with that, okay? So we all know what is meta dictionary or Salesforce workbook. You can actually create the list of the fields with their descriptions, to map all the fields that have the empty descriptions and to fill them, okay? Because that is very important, especially for all those next generation of all the teams, especially for the teams who are working the collaboration. What are the what are the goals, what are the aims of those fields? We all face the orgs where admins come to the limit of the Salesforce fields. So we do have the orgs we have around 8. I saw the orgs where you have 800 fields on the opportunities, right? Or on cases, on those objects. And you need to know exactly what fields you need to keep and what fields you may need to remove because they are not used anymore. And you need to document what and how they are used, especially those formula fields or custom settings fields or metadata records. On the top of that, you would like to make a processes on the top of all the documentation of the code that can be done in the comments, can be done in the Jira issues or Confluence. You can also map all those declarative processes, right? So you will not enforce all your teams to understand what is the screen flow, what is the logic of the dynamic for Lightning Web Commands. And we'll see what tools enable you to do it very easy. Today, with the emergence of artificial intelligence solutions, you can have AI-powered documentation, and there are tools on the market that already provide this capability of doing that. Panaya Foresight, the tool that the platform that allows you to do all the regular documentation that we spoke about, the possibility to see the list of the fields and monitor the technical depth, etc. Also, in the latest version, allows you to provide automatically the human readable explanation of all those Apex codes, flows, LWC components, validation rules, and formulas fields, because sometimes some of us, some people just start, you take the org as a system integrator, as a new admin, you don't know, or you don't have this documentation, how you can speed up your onboarding process. So we do provide this capability with the AI-powered documentation model of Panaya. And of course, when you document flows, code, validations, formulas, you want to optimize things. So for example, if I take some workflows that update the opportunity stage, maybe I will create the new flow that will combine all the conditions of those workflows, and will allow me actually to use just one flow instead of 4 or 5 workflows, and that is optimization, right? Or if I have the formula fields that have the nested if conditions, I can use the case logic in order to make it easier, okay? There are some free tools on the market that you can use. I use them as well. There's a schema lister that you can export the list of the fields to Excel. You can use the free-form extension as Salesforce DevTools. I'm using the Lucidchart diagramming. They have a very nice Salesforce diagram support. And you can import schema from the Salesforce source, can have the very nice diagramming solution. So you can use them. But you can use also the more interesting and more, profound and fully featured solutions like Panaya Foresight that allows you to work on the metadata with just a couple of clicks and receive the full visibility and transparency of your work. You can have the list of all inactive components, see all the automations, see all unassigned profiles, see the documentation for your Apex classes, formula fields validation rules. And I think right now I need to stop with the PowerPoint. We spent a lot of time on this application today, and let's go to their live demo, okay? So, I would like to start with the org, one of the sample org, where start with the org overview dashboard of Panaya, where you can see actually all the components in this org. You can say it as kind of the business card of this org. So you see actually all the components by type, all the components distribution, the org complexity, that you can also see it in the time frame and understand what's going on in the org, how many custom fields you have per object, etc. And then if you want to go ahead and understand a little bit what things you can optimize from here, how you can start document all the relevant changes to clean your technical debt. So you can list here the unassigned custom profiles and permission set. You have this list here, and you can see right now all the profiles which are not assigned, the same thing for permission sets. You can go ahead and click here on the technical debt and get the list of all the fields or custom settings fields which are not on the page layout components or contains potential depreciated fields. So you can actually see all the lists and to export all of them into Excel, and then actually, or to create the requirement in Panaya to clean it as the part of your release. On the top of that, you can also have the list of all unused reports and dashboards which are rarely used in your system that you can also export, have the list, understand what reports are not used and clean them as the part of your release policy. You can have also here for each of the packages that are used in your org. So you see here, there are a lot of packages that are used here, and each of the package has the different components, fields, Apex classes, etc. So you know exactly what is the impact of each of the field, because you can go ahead, select each of the field that belongs to this package, run the impact analysis, and understand exactly where this field is used and how it is used. So if you want to switch to another application, you can do it very easy because you see the whole picture, what's going on, how the processes are used. On the top of that, we have the model that's called Automation Overview. It allows to list all the process types here, right? So you can see here, for example, those Apex triggers, approval processes, flows in one list view. And then you can say, okay, I would like to go ahead, for example, and look just for the workflows, right? And you see here all the workflows in one list. You can see, for example, that this project custom object that have 4 workflows, and each of these workflows are actually updating one field, which is a project stage. That is not very optimized way to work. So you can understand a little bit better. You can just select what you want to check. You can go and view it in Salesforce, or you can just go ahead, click on it, and see all the reference fields, understand what's going on, and then just create one flow out of these 4 workflows, test it, and that's it. On the top of that, you can go ahead and see all the formula fields, right? You can see all the formula fields that exist in the system, and you can go ahead and check for each and every field how it is used. You can actually even go ahead and click on the specific field, as I did here, and to see how this field is referencing other fields. We see its formula fields that reference those fields directly and indirectly, okay? And if we want to understand a little bit more, because maybe we didn't create this formula field, we'll just click here on the view source, and we'll see here all the syntax. But if we are not interested to dig into the code, I can just click here the explanation. And as you can see, this is our generative AI capability. You can actually receive with just one click the explanation of the field. You can just copy it then to your Confluence high-level design or to your Jira issue, and that's it. You can understand exactly what's going on. You, of course, can use Panaya in order to create the workbook. For example, here I have the list of all the Apex triggers that exist in my org. And I see that, for example, this trigger has 16 different components that it references. So I can easily go ahead and select the specific trigger. And as I said, again, the generative AI here via view source of Panaya, you can see the trigger itself, its syntax. But if you are not the developer and want to understand a little bit more, just click the explanation, as I did with the formula fields, and you can see how this Apex trigger for creation the follow-up task very easily presents you the logic of this trigger, and you can use it for building the new logic or updating the logic or updating the documentation. You come to the org that you don't know. This is a very easy way to see what's going on. Additional capabilities as Panaya is the ability to record any of the UI processes, the screen flows, Lightning Web Components. You know, today you can use in the Salesforce Industries the Flex card, dynamic forms, and you can record actually all the user clicks, and then automatically we can behind the scenes create for you this very simple document that describes you step by step what happens on the screen without taking descriptions, without writing things, in the flow of the real business process. So for example, here, as you may see, you have this lead convert process. Here's the library of this documentation. And you can just click here on the evidence that was created beforehand. And in this evidence, you can see here all the steps. You can click on the evidence viewer and then to see all the steps of the screenshots with all the clicks here that were done by the user automatically. And if you can also get the link and put it into your Jira issue or to your Confluence, and you can also export it to Microsoft Word or to PDF and to have this document for your convenience to be attached as an appendix, to be sent via email, etc., for the onboarding and training purposes. Actually, in this way, you can create any of the UI process documentation with just a number of clicks following recording of Panaya. So just to summarize, guys, Panaya Foresight allows you to map all the fields to create what is called the Salesforce workbook with the list of fields, list of profiles, list of packages, components, map any formula fields, map any automations, map any metadata components, export them into Excel, see the human readable explanation of the Apex code, validation rules, formula fields, and of course to record any of your UI processes in order to create from them meaningful documents for onboarding and training. That's all for my side today.
Hey, Alex, I have a question for you.
Absolutely.
What you showed in all those examples was basically Sales Cloud or Service Cloud. Does Panaya Foresight work on all the Salesforce clouds, on all the other ones that you did not specifically show?
Absolutely. So indeed, we fully support the regular, the core Salesforce clouds, but on the top of that, we support, of course, the Salesforce CPQ, where this is the unique capability because Salesforce CPQ components are not just metadata components. This is actually the data that behaves as metadata, all those product rules, price rules, twin fields, which are very hard to track and to understand the dependencies and find the problem or to document it. On the top of that, we support the Salesforce industry. So what is more known in the Salesforce ecosystem as Velocity. So we do support the communication cloud, energy and utilities cloud, all the OmniScript components of those clouds, public government cloud. All of them are also supported, all the metadata components, data raptors, flex cards, OmniScripts, you name it, everything that is included in the Salesforce Industries.
Awesome, great. Had a second question come to mind too regarding the documentation process and that automated piece of that. Um, it looks like that really provides pretty good documentation very easily. But what about the ability to track changes as you adjust things within your org? Do you need to go back through the process to create new documentation, or does that happen automatically behind the scenes when those changes happen in the structure of your org?
Yeah, this is really one of the uh, uh, things that comes to our desk all the time from customers and prospects, and we have the resolution for this need, because in most of the cases, the changes are happening sometimes without us knowing that. Us, I mean the CRM, Salesforce CRM team. Sometimes there are Salesforce updates, right, that are rolling not just 3 times a year, but also, for all those packages and all those third-party components and the updates, and they are changing metadata components, and we want to know what happened. Sometimes there is this, VP sales that just, has these permissions, and he just go and changes things in production, without updating anybody, right? So we want to know about those changes. So fortunately, we have the very cool solution for that that's called ChangeWatch. ChangeWatch actually allows you to, in the very easy manner, to show you everything that is stored, is changed for one day in your org. It can show you the things that has been changed in Sandbox via production, or just in the specific org. It will list all the changes. It will send you the email. It will appear the Slack documentation. I just now, as we spoke, I found the small sample of this change watch, so you will understand what kind of thing you can get. Can you please give me the permission to share? I think then I will be able
Yep,
to show it
there
for
you go.
just a quick second. Okay, so as you may see here, okay, this is the email that you get. You have actually the list of all the changes and the total differences, right? And you see here all the components that has been changed, and the org comparison summary between two orgs. You can actually always track two orgs, and if you want to go ahead and to understand a little bit more, you can just click here, view in Panaya. It will land you to the specific list, and you can see the changes, what things were deleted, what things were modified. You can see it in the very easy manner.
That's awesome. Very interesting. Very good stuff.
Thank you.
So you mentioned Jira and Confluence, and then I know there's other tools out there that some people may use that are similar to that. Is what's the process like? I mean, I haven't used either one of those tools in quite a while, so my memory's a little shaky. How do you actually like get things into there that you've pulled out from Panaya? What's that look like?
Yeah. First of all, when you work in Jira, you're creating the story, and when you compose the Salesforce release, you create a number of stories and requirements inside Jira. You would like from the Jira requirement to actually trigger and invoke the Panaya foresight to see all the metadata dependencies. So if you add, for example, any component like a pick list value, you want to have the impact analysis of this pick list layer, how it's referenced in different components. And you would like to have this information of the components that are impacted by your change that you mentioned in the story inside your story, and to see this story inside Jira. So we do have the Jira, in the Jira marketplace, you can install Panaya Foresight app, and it can connect to our portal, and you will be able to, to trigger the impact analysis from Jira. On the top of that,
Fantastic.
you can also create the Jira issue from Panaya, so it works both ways. It also makes
Awesome.
sense.
Very good. Well, we are just about out of time. Thanks everyone for joining us today. And of course, you can see on the screen right now, if you're interested in getting a personalized demo and digging into this deeper, the link you see on there will be your place to go. Any last words of wisdom, Alex, before we end this session?
Just the only thing that I really wish you guys is to think how you can optimize the process, because today we do have a lot of emerging tasks, and the smart thing is just to understand what tools do we have in order to make our work easier, how we can clean things easier, how we can map processes easier, how we can do it without digging into the code or asking people who are always busy as well, how we can do it by ourselves. There are tools and there are applications that can allow you to do it.
Awesome. Well, everyone, thanks again for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this session. Hope you learned some things about what Panaya and Foresight can do for your organization. And I know, Alex, I'm sure you'd love to have a conversation again with these people that are
Absolutely.
on with us and help them figure out the best ways to do things within their own organizations. Thanks,
Absolutely.
everyone, for joining us. Have a great
Thank
day.
you. Bye-bye.